Viktor Einar Gyökeres, born 4 June 1998, is a Swedish professional footballer who plays as a striker for Premier League club Arsenal and the Sweden national team. Gyökeres made his professional debut with Swedish side Brommapojkarna in 2015, making over 50 appearances before joining Brighton and Hove Albion in 2018. He spent successive seasons on loan at St. Pauli, Swansea City, and Coventry City, joining the latter permanently in 2021. Sporting CP signed him in 2023 in a club record transfer worth an initial €20 million. With them, he won 2 back-to-back Primera Liga titles in 2024 and 2025, winning the Bola de Prata as the league's top scorer, the Player of the Year award in both seasons, and the Gerd Müller Trophy in his second season, given to the highest-scoring footballer in the previous season. In July 2025, he signed for Arsenal in a transfer worth €63.5 million, £54.8 million. Gyökeres represented Sweden at various youth levels and was the joint top scorer at the 2017 UEFA European Under-19 Championship. He made his senior debut in 2019. Club career: IFK Ospuden Tellus. Born and raised in Stockholm, Gyökeres started playing football at the age of 5 with local club IFK Ospuden Tellus. IF Brommapojkarna. Gyökeres signed for Brommapojkarna from IFK Ospuden Tellus in 2013 at the age of 14. He progressed through the youth teams and made his senior debut 2 years later. He scored his first goals for the club on 20 August 2015, netting a brace in a 3-0 Svenska Cupen win over IF Sylvia. The following year, with the club having suffered relegation the season before, Gyökeres scored 7 goals to help Brommapojkarna secure promotion back into the Superettan. He later helped Brommapojkarna into the semi-finals of the Svenska Cupen when he scored the winning goal in the quarter-finals against top division side Elfsborg. Brommapojkarna were unable to progress further though, as they were beaten 4-0 by IFK Norrköping in the next round. On September 6, 2017, having scored 10 league goals at the time, Gyökeres signed a 2.5-year contract with Premier League club Brighton and Hove Albion, with the deal to go through at the conclusion of the Superettan season. He ended the season with a return of 13 goals and 29 league appearances, including a hat-trick on the final day as Brommapojkarna secured promotion to the Allsvenskan as league champions. Brighton and Hove Albion. Gyökeres with Brighton in 2018. Gyökeres officially joined Brighton on January 1, 2018, and began training with the club's under-23 side. He made his senior debut for the club on August 28, starting in a 1-0 EFL Cup defeat to Southampton. On January 26, 2019, Gyökeres made his FA Cup debut coming on as a sub in a 0-0 draw at home to West Bromwich Albion. In July 2019, he moved on loan to German second-tier side St. Pauli for the 2019-20 season. On the opening day of the season, he made his debut coming on as a sub in a 1-1 away draw to Armenia. Gyökeres scored his first goal for St. Pauli on 29 September, scoring the second in a 2-0 home victory over SV Sandhausen. On 17 September 2020, Gyökeres scored his first goal for Brighton in a 4-0 victory against Portsmouth in the EFL Cup. On 2 October 2020, Gyökeres joined EFL Championship side Swansea City on loan for the remainder of the 2021-21 season. He made his debut a day later, coming on as a substitute in a 2-1 home win over Millwall. He scored his first goal for the club on 9 January 2021, scoring the second in a 2-0 away win over Stevenage, sending Swansea through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. He was recalled by Brighton on 14 January 2021. Coventry City. Gyökeres joined Coventry City on loan on 15 January 2021. He made his debut 4 days later, starting and playing 59 minutes of the 3-0 away loss at Reading. He scored on his first appearance at St. Andrews, netting the first in an eventual 2-0 victory over Sheffield Wednesday on 27 January, his first league goal in English football. He returned to Coventry City on a permanent deal on 9 July 2021 after signing a 3-year contract. Gyökeres scored in Coventry's opening game of the 2021-22 championship season on 8 August, putting Coventry back level in an eventual 2-1 victory over Nottingham Forest in Coventry's first home game since April 2019 after ground sharing with Birmingham City. Gyökeres scored 17 goals in 45 league appearances for Coventry in the 2021-22 season. In the 2022-23 championship season, he was named as the Player of the Month in November after scoring 4 goals in 4 games, leading Coventry to 4 straight wins during that period. 3 goals and 3 assists saw him win the award for a second time in March 2023. Overall, he scored 21 goals in 46 appearances, making him the second highest scorer in the league that year. Coventry finished 5th in the table and narrowly missed out on promotion when they lost the playoff final on penalties to Luton Town. Gyökeres scored his penalty. Sporting CP. On 13 July 2023, Gyökeres signed a 5-year contract with Premier League side Sporting CP, who paid a club record transfer fee of €20 million plus €4 million in bonuses for him. Coventry are also entitled to payment of 10 to 15% from a future transfer, and the release clause was set at €100 million. 2023-2024, Premier League title, Bola de Prata, and Player of the Year. On 12 August, he made his debut for the club, starting and scoring twice in a 3-2 league victory at home to Vizela. On 21st September, Gyökeres made his debut in European competitions, starting and scoring in a 2-1 victory away at Storm Graz in the UEFA Europa League group stage. On 26 October, he was shown the first ever red card of his club career, 7 minutes into Sporting CP's visit to Rakow Częstochowa in a UEFA Europa League group stage match. On 2 November, on his Taça da Liga debut, Gyökeres scored a hat-trick in a 4-2 home victory over Farense. 10 days later, he scored in a 2-1 league loss away at local rivals Benfica. On 26 November, in his Taça de Portugal debut, Gyökeres came on as a second-half substitute and scored Sporting's last goal in an 8-0 home rout over Campeonato de Portugal side Dumiense. On 19th December, he scored and made an assist in a 2-0 league victory at home to rivals Porto. On 5 January 2024, Gyökeres provided 4 assists in a 5-1 league victory at home to Estoril. On 17th March, he scored his first Primera Liga hat-trick in a 6-1 victory over Boavista. Between September and January, Gyökeres scored 13 goals and provided 6 assists, being named the league's Player of the Month and Forward of the Month for 5 consecutive months. On 29th April, with Sporting 2 goals down, he scored a brace in the 87th and 88th minutes in a 2-2 draw away against Porto at the Estadio do Dragão to ensure Sporting stayed on top of the league table, 5 points ahead of rivals Benfica. At the end of the month, Gyökeres was again named the league's Player of the Month and Forward of the Month. On 5 May, Sporting mathematically secured their 20th Primera Liga title, following Benfica's defeat to Famalicão, and Gyökeres won the Bola de Prata award after he finished his first season at the club as the Primera Liga top scorer with 29 goals, scoring a brace on Sporting's final league match of the season against Chaves on 18 May to become the second Swedish player to win the top scorer award after Mats Magnusson in 1989-90. He was also named the best player of the Primera Liga and was included in the best 11. On 28th May, 2 days after his appearance for the club in the Portuguese Cup final, Gyökeres underwent surgery on his left knee in Lisbon. 2024-25, second consecutive league title, top scorer, and departure.
Gyökeres made his return from injury on 3 August 2024, assisting twice in the 4-3 loss to rivals Porto in the 2024 Supertaça Cândido de Oliveira. He scored 7 times in the 4 league matches that month, including a hat-trick in a 5-0 win away to Farense on 23 August. In the process, he became the league highest top scorer in the 21st century after 4 match weeks. Gyökeres also earned the league's Player of the Month and Forward of the Month awards for the month of August. On 17 September, in his UEFA Champions League debut, he also scored his first goal in the competition, opening the scoring in their 2-0 victory over Lille, being awarded Man of the Match during the inaugural matchday of the newly formatted Champions League phase. On 1 November, Gyökeres scored 4 goals in a single match during a 5-1 rout against Farense, with his first-half hat-trick tying Beto Acosta's feat reached in the 2001-2002 campaign. 4 days later, he became the second Swedish player after Zlatan Ibrahimovic and the first Sporting player to score a hat-trick in the Champions League era in a 4-1 victory over Manchester City. On 16 December, he was awarded the Golden Ball, the annual award for Best Swedish Footballer in 2024. On 11 January 2025, he scored a penalty in the Taça da Liga final, which Sporting eventually lost on penalties following extra time. By the end of the month, Gyökeres suffered a hamstring injury, leading him to start only 1 league match during the months of January and February and missing some crucial games, including their final Champions League phase match against Bologna and the knockout A's playoffs against Borussia Dortmund, which Sporting ended up losing 3-0 on aggregate. On 3 March, Gyökeres scored twice in a 3-1 league victory against Estoril, and with those goals, he became the first player to have scored against every Primera Liga team he has faced in a single season. After 2 months, he fully recovered from his injury, 6 days later adding another brace against Casapia by the same scoreline. Hours before the match, it was reported that he made a gentleman's agreement with Sporting president Frederico Varandas that would allow him to leave in the summer. At the end of the month, Gyökeres was named the Primera Liga Player of the Month. On 27 April, he scored 4 goals, his second time that season, in a 5-0 league win over Boavista. With his 4 goals, Gyökeres leapfrogged Bas Dost's 93 goals to become the second highest all-time foreign goalscorer in Sporting's history. He also became the first player to score more than 35 goals in the Primera Liga since Mario Jardel in the 2001-2002 season.
On 10 May, in his 100th appearance for Sporting, he assisted Francisco Trincão's goal in a draw against Benfica in the Lisbon Derby, which secured Sporting's spot at the top of the league table.
7 days later, he scored the winning goal in a 2-0 victory over Vitória de Guimarães as Sporting won the league. This was Gyökeres' second consecutive Premier League title. With 39 goals scored, he finished the season as the Primeira Liga top scorer for the second consecutive season, also winning his second Bola de Prata and the league's Player of the Year awards. On 25th May, in the Taça de Portugal final against Benfica, he scored from the penalty spot in the 11th minute of added time to tie the game 1-1 and send it to extra time. Sporting eventually won the match 3-1, winning their first domestic double since the 2001-2002 season. Following the end of the season, Frederico Varandas confirmed that Gyökeres could leave the club for less than his contractual release clause, as the player was linked with a transfer to the Premier League, Arsenal. In late June, Arsenal made an initial bid of €55 million plus €10 million in bonuses, which was rejected. The club's continued negotiations in July, with Gyökeres sacrificing part of his salary to facilitate the transfer. After Sporting rejected another bid, he failed to turn up to training for the preseason, leading him to be disciplined by the club. On 14 July, it was reported that the two clubs had agreed a deal in principle for, with his agent also waiving his fee of the transfer to help facilitate the deal. The transfer was delayed due to issues with add-ons to the deal. On 25th July, it was reported that Gyökeres was to undergo a medical at Arsenal after being given permission to travel to England by Sporting. The following day, Gyökeres signed for Arsenal for a fee of £55 million, potentially rising to £63.5 million with add-ons, signing a 5-year deal with the club. He said he wanted to join the club after losing to them with Sporting the previous season. After his signing, some analysts and pundits such as Rio Ferdinand questioned if Gyökeres would be successful for Arsenal due to previous goal-scoring struggles for other formerly prolific forwards moving from the Premier League to the Premier League, such as Mario Jardel, and Gyökeres' previous struggle to break into the first team at Brighton. On 27th July, Gyökeres was unveiled as an Arsenal player before a preseason game against Newcastle United in Singapore. After being given squad number 14, previously worn by Thierry Henry, Arsenal's all-time leading goal scorer, Gyökeres said that he did not want to be compared to Henry. 2025-2026, debut season.
Following preseason, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta said that Gyökeres will be 100% or more ready for the opening game of the season. On 17 August, Gyökeres started in the opening game at Manchester United as Arsenal won 1-0, but he was subbed off in favor of Kai Havertz after just under an hour of play after failing to make much of an impact. However, in the following match against newly promoted Leeds United, Gyökeres scored a brace, one of which was a penalty, as Arsenal defeated Leeds 5-0. In September, he won the Gerd Müller Trophy, part of the Ballon d'Or award show, for scoring the most goals, 63 in total, for both European clubs and national teams the previous season. After his first 10 Arsenal games, Gyökeres had scored 3 goals, all of which came in his first 4 games. On 21 October, Gyökeres scored 2 goals in a 4-0 win against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League stage, opening up his European account for Arsenal and ending the goal drought. On 1 November, Gyökeres scored in a 2-0 win against Burnley, but suffered a hamstring injury later on in that game. After being sidelined for nearly a month, he returned from injury on 30 November, coming on as a substitute against Chelsea. In February 2026, he was described by the BBC as one of the Premier League's most informed players, being the top scorer in the Premier League in the 2026 calendar year. In May 2026, he scored his 20th goal of the season, the first time an Arsenal player had reached that tally in their debut season since Alexis Sanchez in the 2014-15 season. International career, youth. Gyökeres played youth football for Sweden at under-19 and under-21 level. Gyökeres featured regularly for Sweden in the nation's qualification campaign for the 2017 UEFA European Under-19 Championship, during which he scored twice, including the winning goal against Italy, to help Sweden qualify for the tournament for the first time. He was then selected for the squad which took part in the tournament in Georgia and scored in all 3 of Sweden's group matches, but was unable to help the nation progress to the knockout stages of the tournament. His return of 3 goals later saw him share the Golden Boot Award with England's Ben Brannesron and Ryan Sessegnon, and the Netherlands' Joel Pirro, Sr.
On 8 January 2019, Gyökeres made his senior international debut for Sweden in a 1-0 loss against Finland. 3 days later, Gyökeres scored his first senior goal for Sweden in a 2-2 draw against Iceland. In October 2021, after scoring 9 goals in 11 EFL Championship games for Coventry, Gyökeres was called up to the Sweden national team to replace Zlatan Ibrahimovic for the 2022 World Cup qualifying matches against Kosovo and Greece. On 16 October 2023, Gyökeres had given Sweden a 15th-minute lead before Romelu Lukaku equalized in an away game against Belgium, when the UEFA Euro 2024 qualifier was abandoned at halftime, following an Islamist-related fatal shooting in Brussels that targeted and killed 2 Swedes outside the stadium. On 16 November 2024, he scored the first goal in a 2-1 victory against Slovakia, helping Sweden clinch promotion to League B of the UEFA Nations League. 3 days later, Gyökeres scored 4 goals in a 6-0 Nations League home win over Azerbaijan, completing his first international hat-trick in the process. On 26 March 2026, Gyökeres scored a hat-trick when Sweden beat Ukraine 3-1 in a 2026 FIFA World Cup playoff semifinal. 5 days later, on 31 March, Gyökeres would score the winning goal in a 3-2 victory over Poland in the World Cup qualifying playoff final, returning Sweden to the World Cup after failing to qualify for the 2022 edition of the tournament. He was named in the Sweden squad for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Player profile. Style of play. Gyökeres is known for his physicality, pace, and stamina, using his acceleration to exploit space behind defenders and his strength to act as a target man in aerial duels and ground battles. He excels in both aerial duels and on the ground, using his strength and size to shield the ball and link play, often contributing by running the channels or delivering crosses, while also being capable of creating chances through sharp turns and flicks in one-on-one situations. His pressing ability helps him disrupt opposition build-up and force defensive mistakes, helping also in set-piece situations. At Sporting CP's 3-4-3 formation, he played as the central striker positioned at the highest point in the attack to lead the offensive line. He often makes runs into the box and uses his physical presence to challenge defenders, pulling them out of position to create space for the wide forwards. Gyökeres also drifts into the wings or half spaces to help stretch the opposition's defense. His link-up play involves holding the ball and distributing it to teammates, creating opportunities through his movement and positioning. Goal celebration.
Gyökeres celebrates his goals by crossing both of his hands over his mouth. His former Coventry City teammate Josh Eccles said, "I think the celebration is because of the character in the film, Hannibal Lecter. He eats people and Viktor destroys defenses." According to Swedish newspaper Aftonbladet in November 2023, Gyökeres said, "There were lots of guesses. It was this, Hannibal Lecter, ain't Batman, and everything possible, but nobody got it right. No one came close. Yes, it's a secret. I can clarify that, but not today." On 18 December 2023, in an interview for Sport TV after a 2-0 league victory at home to rivals Porto, he was questioned about his usual goal celebration and answered, "I thought you'd ask me sooner. I've been here for a few months and no one has asked me that question. I'll tell you after the season if we win the league, no problem." In June 2024, the Portuguese media claimed the goal celebrations were inspired by Bane, a comics character, after Gyökeres has posted on Instagram a phrase attributed to Bane. Personal life. Gyökeres is of Hungarian descent through his paternal grandfather who immigrated to Sweden, and is a dual citizen of Hungary and Sweden. His father Stefan Gyökeres played football for IFK Östersund and Stugan in the 1980s and 1990s. Broadcaster CMTV reported in January 2024 that Gyökeres was in a relationship with Portuguese actress Inês Aguiar. He was formerly in a relationship with fellow professional footballer Amanda Nilden, who he met in high school, and who joined the Brighton women's team when Gyökeres moved to the club in 2018. Honors: IF Brommapojkarna, Superettan, 2017. Sporting CP, Primeira Liga, 2023-2024, 2024-2025. Taça de Portugal, 2024-2025. Arsenal, EFL Cup runner-up, 2026-2027. Individual, EFL Championship Team of the Season, 2022-2023. PFA Team of the Year, 2022-2023. EFL Championship Player of the Month, November 2022, March 2023. UEFA European Under-19 Championship Golden Boot, 2017. UEFA European Under-19 Championship Team of the Tournament, 2017. IFFS World's Best Top Division Goal Scorer, 2024, 36 goals. IFFS World's Best Top Goal Scorer, 2024, 62 goals. Primera Liga Top Scorer, 2023-2024, 2024-2025. Primera Liga Player of the Year, 2023-2024, 2024-2025. Primera Liga Team of the Year, 2023-2024, 2024-2025. Primera Liga Player of the Month, September 2023, October-November 2023, December 2023, January 2024, April 2024, August 2024, March 2025. Primera Liga Forward of the Month, September 2023, October-November 23, December 2023, January 2024, April 2024, August 2024, March 2025, April 2025. Taça de Liga Top Scorer, 2024-2025. Golden Ballen, 2024. Swedish Forward of the Year, 2023, 2024, 2025. UEFA European Nations League Top Scorer, 2024-2025. Gerd Müller Trophy, 2025.